Hello there. So on today's episode, we're going to talk a little bit more about the Creepy Guy Hotline, and specifically we're going to talk about a new first that has come in on the hotline. Namely, we have somebody on the hotline who is pretending to be a celebrity. And what makes this story all the best is that I've actually gotten to meet this celebrity and I got to work with him for a very short period of time. So let's dive into it.
Right then, this isn't going to be big on dignity. Geronimo!
So first and foremost, I just want to thank all of you guys for being here. The support of my YouTube and TikTok channel have been absolutely just amazing. And I've gotten a lot of requests from people asking how they can support the Creepy Guy Hotline. And I have struggled with knowing how I wanted the Creepy Guy Hotline to receive support. But I've decided that I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start a Patreon. Now, I'm going to be putting the link down below in the bio. Hopefully it will be live by the time this video comes out. But I want my Patreon to be a place where I can share a little bit more of my photography and share some behind the scenes of things that are going on the Creepy Guy Hotline. Specifically, what we're going to talk about today in relationship to this celebrity impersonator, the text messages from this celebrity impersonator are going to be uploaded, and they're going to be the very first post that I make on my Patreon account. So you guys can see sort of the conversation and the evolution of what's been going on with this conversation. So that being said, if you are financially able to support me on Patreon, please check the link in the bio, and we would love to have you as a patron. Now, that being said, let's dive into what's going on. The celebrity that I'm talking about is a celebrity that you have either probably heard of or you know very, very well. He plays one of the main characters on the show Supernatural. And what's really interesting is he plays an angel on Supernatural. Now, the reason that I say that that's really interesting is because for those of you who know Misha Collins, you know that he is a literal angel here on Earth, and he does a lot of good for humankind in some very creative and very unique ways. One of the most interesting ways that Misha tries to give back to humanity is he has this pet project of his, which is the world's largest scavenger hunt. It's called GISH. And I have had the opportunity to be able to participate in GISH a number of times over the last several years. Where I got to meet Misha Collins was in Seattle several years ago. My best friend and I, we had formed a team and we were participating, and we were delighted to find out that Misha was going to be in Seattle, and we were going to be trying to break some world records with Misha. Now, the first record that we were going to try and break was the number of people in the same place all wearing a funny hat. The second world record that we were trying to break is the number of people in one place all dressed as French maids. Now, I tell you that because it's really important to understand that for the remainder of this story, I am wearing a French maid's dress. Now, there isn't proof of that because the only pictures that are available from that event are in the safekeeping of my best friend. And she has them locked away in the vault in her home and has thus far to this day not released them. So I am very glad to know that pictures of me in a French maid outfit is in good and safe hands. Thank you, Stephanie. Now, when we got up to Seattle, understand we were all wearing ridiculous hats. We were all in these French maid dresses. And I think we broke both records. I have to think about that for a minute. It's been a while, but I think we broke both world records. And Misha was there and he spoke to us, and it was a great time. We were having a good time, and nobody really wanted the event to be over, including Misha. So we decided that we were going to go outside and we were going to try and break one more world record. And the world record that we were trying to break was we formed a human chain, okay? and we all held hands, and we were passing a hula hoop through the human chain. And it was very important that once the chain was made, once we joined hands, we were not allowed to let go. If we let go, the world record would not happen. Now, once the hula hoop had passed through you, you were allowed to let go, but not until. Now, thankfully, I wasn't actually participating in the human chain. I had just gotten started in photography and videography at this time. And so I was running about the field at the very beginning, taking lots of photos with my very old camera that I had at the time. You also have to understand that most of the participants were from the state of Washington. Now, in the state of Washington, literally most of the year, it is below 65 degrees, it's overcast, and it's raining. So most people that are from Washington are not used to sun. And this was a sunny summer day in the middle of summer. So it was hotter than normal, no cloud cover whatsoever, and very limited water, because we thought this was going to be a short event. We were not planning on it being a long event. So you have hundreds of people out in the field all wearing black, because we're all wearing French maid-out dresses, and passing a hula hoop through a human chain while people are having to stand for long periods of time. It's no surprise that it didn't take long for people to start suffering the effects of heat exhaustion and heat stroke. And people started to go down one by one. Now, I was also an ex-EMT. And so I put my camera away and I jumped in as a first responder. And I remember working with the first girl that went down. And I couldn't have been by her side for more than a few seconds when all of a sudden I look up and there's Misha. And this is just the kind of man that I think Misha is. He was very anxious to make sure that he was helping. And he was trying to find any way that he could to help. And I was very impressed because he was taking direction from me the entire day. If I asked him to go get something, he went and got it. If I asked him to help me with a particular patient, he was right there. He helped me throughout the entire day, caring for these people who were struggling from a bit of heat exhaustion. I was very pleased to be able to get to meet him and his wife after everyone was cared for and adequately found the medical help that they needed. And it remains to be one of my favorite memories when it comes to GISH, and it's honestly one of my favorite memories when it comes to getting to meet a celebrity. So when a creep came over the Creepy Guy Hotline and was pretending to be Misha, I absolutely had to mess with him just a little bit. Now, just as a reminder, I'm going to be putting these texts on my Patreon so that you guys can see the entire conversation. But the start of the conversation, apparently he thought that the girl that he was speaking with was a girl named Marky. And the start of the conversation really was he didn't want me to share any of our communications. He didn't want me to share any of our text messages, any of our words, because the press really would have a field day with this. Oops.
Oops. Oops.
So, after we got through kind of some small talk, I decided that I was going to just sort of insinuate a little bit about the events that happened in Washington surrounding GISH when we got to meet. I just wanted to see like how deep down the rabbit hole he was going to go and how much of an impersonation he was going to make on Misha. So I didn't really get into any specifics about what happened in Washington. I just sort of insinuated to it. And I thought it was really interesting because after I insinuated to the events that happened in Washington 2 or 3 times, he finally came back and told me that it was a traumatic event and he didn't like to talk about it. And so he changed the subject. I thought that was an interesting way to kind of divert the conversation, but okay. So then we started talking about just kind of life. And I found out that this Misha Collins got divorced from his wife. that's interesting. But the thing that I loved the most is where he told me that despite his very busy filming schedule with Supernatural that finished filming, Supernatural that's not filming anymore, but apparently he's still filming for Supernatural? I don't know. Despite his very busy schedule with Supernatural, he wants me to know that he will always make time for me. He will always make sure that he gives me the care and attention that I deserve. Gosh, what a great guy. Anyways, these conversations continued for several days, and then he just stopped talking to me. Guys, I got ghosted by a celebrity impersonator who was impersonating Misha Collins. That happened. Sometimes when things like this happen, I wonder, what the hell is my life? Because this is just weird. But anyways, you can enjoy this entire conversation on Patreon. Like I said, I'm going to put a link down in the bio. Make sure, if you have the financial means to do so, make sure that you sign up as a Patreon. Your support is going to help not only pay for the Creepy Guy Hotline, but it's also going to pay for the development of possibly putting some Creepy Guy Hotline numbers in other areas of the world, such as Australia and the UK. So thank you so much for your support. Please make sure, guys, that you are liking, subscribing, sharing this video. It really does help. We appreciate all of your support. And until next time, guys, we'll talk to you all later.